Being afraid of Smurfs also relates to being really attached to your MMR. Because if you're like super devastated that you get a Smurf in one game, even like 2 or 3 out of every 10 games, you're just too focused on the MMR. Because like we said, it's a great opportunity to improve when you get against a Smurf. Because usually, or this is what they do, they'll take advantage of your mistakes. And you'll make a mistake and then they'll like get a rampage or something because you took a bad fight. It's much healthier and better for your MMR long term if you're focused on improving and not like the short-term MMR.
Usually people who Smurfs are like kind of bottom of the barrel of where they're Smurfing from. Like they're Smurfing for a reason. Either a lot of people Smurf because they like try new heroes or try troll shit, or like they're just fucking griefing. Like they're playing their Storm offlane or some bullshit, right? So that's like some Smurfs. And then the other Smurfs are just like subhuman bastards who like flame their team and they're like, oh, I don't even want to play an Immortal anymore. I'm going to go stomp Herald or some like terrible, like those people are so bad, right? So you don't need to be in, like, these guys are not that good.
Hello and welcome to the Dota Club Podcast, where we don't talk over each other, just like last episode. Or maybe we talk over each other more, because that's some feedback we got from my boy in the comments. At X7 Justin, it was you on your account.
Hey!
Sorry, I mean, I've doxed your first name before. Talking over each other is fine and natural. That's good.
Guys, if you run into me in a pub, call me Justin. Call me Justin in all chat, please.
I didn't tell you this, but I got a text. I got a text from Cheesy who told me to stop talking over you last podcast because we like
That's
made a
what
big
I'm
deal
fucking
out of
talking
it.
about.
And then I'm pretty sure. But for some context, guys, he's one to cut off way more in real life. I swear.
I'm a very talkative person, which has actually just been revisionist history because Cheesy's proving it's you the whole time, and I'm actually just fucking insane.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
Thank you. Thank you.
But
Cheesy.
yeah, we're not gonna talk over each other. We're gonna pretend like it's natural conversation, guys. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, in which case I'm talking over you, Perma. So let's go.
We also got a really interesting, or not interesting, just a good suggestion for the podcast from...
No, it was the guy who literally said talking over each other is fine. It's X7 Justin. It's in the second half of his
God, it
comment.
was the same guy. That's crazy.
It's the same guy. This guy might be the fucking MVP goat of our comments here.
That's so funny. Bro. Okay, yeah, thank you, X7 Justin. So he also gave a great suggestion for like a little bit, and I really like this, where a viewer will comment a hero or just... Honestly, I want to expand this to like anything they want us to talk about, but in this case, like a hero. He said Marci, and we like talk about a little bit about the hero.
Yeah,
this is pretty good because it engages you guys, and I feel like it's just it's also nice to have like traditions, on the podcast.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He wanted us to talk about Marci, and my relationship with Marci is. Oh, you gonna cut me off?
Yes, I'm gonna cut you off exactly because before we move into Marci, I just want to say about this commenting bit is. We're still gonna have discretion in terms of like if it's a hero. I'm down to talk about heroes that I'm interested in. I'm interested in Marci, so I'm down to talk about Marci. But if you're just like, holy shit, you need to talk about Lion Fist of Death, I ain't talking about that shit. Like its ass is what you need to hear. So comment what you want to hear about. We look at all the comments, right? And like if it's interesting, I'll talk about it.
If you want us to talk about the Fist of Death, comment that, but we might not talk about it.
We probably won't talk about it.
Also, Sam P, commenter on past episodes as well, wants a Dota Club Podcast Discord community, and something like that or that is in the works. If more of you guys want it, let us know. The more people that want it, the more worthwhile it is. But even if the Dota Club Podcast community Discord is just me, Pine, and Sam, that will also be chill.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's not live right now, but it probably will be soon. Shout out at the Ozu Demdor. Sorry if I mispronounced that. I definitely did. But he wants this podcast to be on Spotify. And I think that's really cool. And I think that is the future
good idea,
of the Dota Club Podcast. It's a good idea.
Jesus.
And honestly, this episode might go up on Spotify. I just don't know how people would discover it on Spotify. I mean, it's definitely easier to consume. Because I think if you don't have YouTube Premium, you're just spammed with ads when you watch this. I was like thinking about that, which is a nightmare.
That's true.
Right?
You comment below if you get spammed with ads. How about that?
Yeah.
Because I have YouTube Premium, so I don't.
Me too. The more people who get spammed with ads, the more likely we are to put it up. Actually, I'm probably just going to put it up on Spotify.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's getting put up on Spotify.
That's a great
shout.
shout.
That's just I don't know. Finally, some gym content for me to listen to myself.
And also to reiterate, we love the comments. We love the feedback. So yeah, give us some. It gives us a direction, things to talk about.
What are we even talking about now?
It's motivational. I think Marci is a carry. I don't know what role he wanted us to talk about, so I guess we'll cover.
He said 1 and 2.
Oh,
or he
actually,
said it's on the rise 1 and 2.
That's a good. Oh, okay, that's a good place to start. Is that Marci's a great flex pick. So I think if you're a master at Marci, I think you can legitimately play her on every role. I think it's a little bit freaky mid. That's the role that it's like the most freaky. But I genuinely think it can be viable in like any role in ranked if you're a hero specialist on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I think slotted is also one of the most, Marci's also one of the most like powerful heroes with 6 slots. Like it's just so much damage with the ult.
It's fucking devastating.
You know? It's insane how much damage it is. But she doesn't farm, so it balances.
Yeah. I actually, because I was doing my little Marci research as a, in response to the comment. Also, Marci's a cool hero. I agree with what you said. First off, that Marci is a fantastic hero to master in general because you can play at all 5 roles. And I also think
rare. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's chill. It's fine, by the way. Like, if it's not fine, you can cut this out. But it's not fine if you fucking keep going. But like, if you're throwing something in, that's natural conversation.
Yeah, no, you're right.
If it's egregious, I'll stop talking and be like, dude, fuck you. Like, okay. It's usually not egregious.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, what I was gonna say is Marci, she's good all 5 roles, and the reason why I think it's important to be a master at Marci. First off, there's a Marci player, Ari, who's a position 4 for OG, and he's like a Grandmaster Marci, like one of his most played heroes. And I just know in solo queue, this guy plays like Marci every role. Like he plays like Marci mid when he gets mid. He plays like Marci off lane, or it's good 1 and 3. On Pro Tracker right now, the highest win rates are 1, 2, 3, and the lowest win rates are support. And it's like decent amount of games too. And I actually think it's pretty good in all 3 core roles.
What's the mid win rate? That's crazy.
53%, right, but in 150 matches.
Okay, I see. And
but that's good.
Just so everybody knows, when we're like referencing these stats, it's for every pub above 8,000 MMR, right? That's what Dota 2 Pro Tracker is.
Great tool. And it's also really nice to learn about these heroes. Like, I want to learn about Marci. And the way I learn is not just go to Pro Tracker. What I do is I go to whatever. Like, let's say I want to look at carry. And in particular, at the top, it shows people and the number of matches they played in the win rates. They're showing like spammers of the hero. And I think you don't need to choose just one, but looking at spammers and looking at like 10 games in a row they played of Marci is like the most insightful way to learn about the hero, because you're also seeing their ideas about the hero develop as they're spamming the hero, and they're going to like make changes, or maybe like they used to be building this item, but they stopped. Like I remember I was looking at Pango for this patch, and Malrin was like building Deso, and then it fell off, and he started doing a new build recently when I was looking at just his page. And you can look at multiple different spammers to compare their ideas, because Dota's a game of ideas, as we discussed. And you can see like people have you're good. Sorry. You can see that people have like different ideas, so it's interesting. Like, okay, what's Ghost's idea on Marci? Let me look at like his 5 games. Or like, there's another one like Zitrax. Like this guy only plays it with its IO Marci. He hasn't played a single game of not IO Marci. Yeah, he has 100% win rate. That's
interesting, and I think Marci is one of those heroes where she's like not really in the meta, and not a lot of people are playing her. So people's ideas are different. Right, like you can click on one player who's 9 or 10k MMR, and they could have a completely different idea for Marci carry than like somebody else who's the same MMR. Yeah. I think like, didn't you mention to me? Are you going to mention the Battle Fury example? Like some Marci carries build Battle Fury, and some just don't. Right, and that's just like a key distinction. And you could say like it depends on the game, but some players just never pick it up like in any game, and some players build it every game. Right, and Marci is one of those heroes where it's just like people don't know what's the best on her, and I think
it's not developed.
Yeah, I think that's like a really cool aspect of Dota, where if if you're like Archon or Legend watching this and you play like 100 games of Marci, like you might have just as good of an idea as like an 8 or 9k player who's played it like 5 times.
Because recently this this is like a slight segue, but we're gonna come back to Marci. But on the ideas, like having ideas and maybe knowing better than like higher level players, the Pango situation recently, not to expose it, maybe people are going to play Pango and it's going to get nerfed more, so maybe I should like hide this information. But everyone was trying to figure out the new Pango build now, because he like does his base damage and roll, and I remember people were on this shit early, and I tried this build, but Nothing to Say was doing armlet. That shit was ass. Or I tried it, but you just don't have sustain. But it's a lot of damage. But he had the right idea, which was like, you go for this like stats tanky Pango, and then that developed into this like Echo Saber Deso build, and then people dropped the Deso for like Echo Saber Sanjin Yasha Ags, and that's like the current iteration of Pango that seems to be really good. It's like this Giga tanky Pango. But like maybe you're a Pango spammer and the patch dropped and you're like, holy shit, it's fucking Echo Saber Deso, or like Echo Saber Sanjin Yasha Ags, and it's like you cooked. Meanwhile, everyone else is building Diffusal in the pro level pubs and like just being dog shit. So you could just have the right idea. Back to Marci though, yeah. Another reason why Marci is a great hero to spam. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say why I think it's back in the meta. Because the win rates are fantastic, right? It's like 54, 53, 55 in the core rules. It's fucking good. And not a lot of picks. So why Marci's another good hero to spam in particular, besides the fact that it's super versatile, is that it's a mechanically difficult hero. It has this like vector targeting fucking, rebound and shit, and you get kited as well, but it's also really a hyper mobile hero. And I think those heroes are difficult. Like you have to use you can like play on the limit and like rebound out from like 1,000 fucking range. Like the heroes are absurd. And with the shard, you get the move speed as well. So like you're running around at like haste move speed. So it's a mechanically difficult hero. So it's really good to like, if you want to be a Marci player, you should spam that shit like at all fucking rolls and like really learn the hero.
I also think that people don't know how to counter it that well because they don't play against it a lot. And I also think that one of the reasons it has high win rates is because it's a specialist hero and only the specialists are picking it. Like, I feel like if you're picking Marci, you have to like have a lot of games on it in the past.
Unless you're Arteezy and you're just raw dogging that shit.
Oh, he picked it
in the
in
NA
quals
and
TI quals, huh? And he's feeding.
He lost, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
I mean, I think even the pros, I feel like, I don't want to like put this on Arteezy, not saying it's 100% true, but I feel obviously he's a much better player than me. I'm not saying Arteezy's bad, but I feel like he might underestimate the difficulty of just raw dogging Marci like that after not playing it.
I think so.
Like for months, because it's hard, and you watch him in the pro game, and like he struggles,
People do that all the time in general. They raw dog fucking heroes. They're like, oh shit, like I really
not just pros, anyone, right?
Anybody, yeah, exactly. I think in general, people underestimate how difficult every single hero in Dota is to play. Because
this is a great topic. This is so relevant.
Yeah, Marci is a mechanically difficult hero, so it's pretty straightforward that like, Marci is really hard to play, and it's like a weird hero, doesn't farm, and you're like playing core. But people think like, holy shit, like I've never played an ogre game in my life. Let me just go play ogre. I'm gonna stomp, and it's like, yeah, ogre is mechanically easy. You press your buttons, but like if you've played 1,000 ogre games, you like know exactly how you feel, how strong you are, what your items do. You know like where you can go, what you can and can't do. Like every Dota hero in general. Or like another mechanically easy hero supposedly is like Spectre, right? Like it's not like holy shit, Spectre's the hardest hero ever. But I remember I played with a buddy who played Spectre, and he just like he was raw dogging his like bronze level 1 Spectre, and then what does he do? He like shows up to team fights with 5 enemies on cooldown and just gets fucking fisted. And it's like that's not what Spectre does. Spectre like splits the map and then like shows up to 1-man ganks, 2-man ganks, and like you're a global hero.
Yeah, it's not Spectre's. Sorry. I think I kind of cut you off.
Yeah. I was going to continue rambling. I was going to say that people do this all the time with global heroes where they play a global hero and then they just fight 5 enemies like under their tower and feed. It's like, that's not what your hero does. And that's a lack of hero mastery. If you're Spectre, you split up the map and force reactions and then like fight on the opposite side when you make someone TP, some shit like that. But yeah, my boy just raw dog Spectre. It's like the Spectre's mechanically easy, but Spectre's identity as a hero is very unique, like every hero. So people always underestimate.
Yeah, I think most of the time. Sorry, I cut you off because you were just going off.
It's good,
but
I'm going.
Most of the time, it's a matter of you not understanding the hero's identity. I think in Marci there are also like a little bit of mechanics that play in, but most of the heroes in Dota, I wouldn't say, are like super mechanically difficult. Once you have a couple thousand games, you know how to press the buttons. Of course, you're going to get better at it over time, but it's about understanding what the hero does. And another word that I've used this with one of my coaching students is calling it like a hero formula or something. Like, for example, on Lifestealer, how do I view Lifestealer? What's his formula? He wants to win his lane and just play the map in a way that's super abrasive so the enemies get less farm. And what does that usually mean? It means he sits in his safe lane and he defends his safe lane tower for literally 20 minutes and they can't gank you because you have Rage and Infest. And if they do come try to gank you, most of the time your team will TP and you will kill them. And because of that, you deny them your tower and all the space behind your tower. And just that leads to like a lot of the time a net worth advantage for your team.
Yeah, and if you're like, dude, and then some guy's gonna like raw dog the Lifestealer, and he like his lane gets a little sketchy, and he's like, fucking TP Ancients time.
Yeah, no,
like,
exactly.
You
just ruin the game. Like if you're doing that, you might as well just be on Luna. Like you can just pick Luna and do the same and do that, but better. Because Luna's like
he's Luna and he defends his tower. That's the point. Is like, I like what you said about hero or like having a formula for heroes because that's something that I notice when I'm playing heroes is that when I actually identify a hero's formula, it may be something so simple like Lifestealer, sit in your lane, defend your tower, but it changes your whole idea of what you're playing for, what you're thinking about, what you're focusing
Your
on
items.
in the game, and it really hones what you want to do. It simplifies the decision making for you. I love using the examples because the Lifestealer example is a really good one.
Yeah.
Another example
with some examples, sorry, just one quick bit.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
examples
go ahead.
are like the examples we use are, some are gonna be a lot more clear, and some heroes formulas are a lot easier to understand than others, and that makes them like easier to master.
Yeah, I think in particular like carry heroes are more straightforward because like your item timings are like more defining to your hero's playstyle and stuff like that. Compared to like if you're fucking like Dark Willow or some shit, it's not like you're playing for this item timing and that's your formula. Your formula might be like I get Bedlam and I put it on the melee guy and he goes in, right? Like that's another formula that you can think of.
I think that's more complex because it changes a lot from game to game, because you need to think of like on Dark Willow what hero you want to put the Bedlam on and what hero you want to have standing in front of the Bedlam on the enemy team. And you need to make that happen on the map. But like
that's the formula for Willow that
gameplay.
like I would be considering if you're like I have a lot of games on Willow, by the way.
Willow is such a Chad hero.
Yeah, it is.
So beast.
But like Willow, when you're in the strategy time, which we've discussed before, what am I thinking about as my formula for Willow? It's like, okay, like a couple things. Are my spells impactful for certain heroes? Roots, lockdown, right? Stuff like that. Another one is, who do I put the Bedlam on? I want some melee guy to go in for me. So that's what I'm picking, Willow, is I want some melee guy to go in for me and carry the Bedlam. Another one is like, okay, also formulas like I'm playing Mars Willow. I'm going to do the Terrorize Arena, which sounds so simple. But let me tell you, I actually played with Mars Willow recently. And then it's like 30 minutes in the game. And I'm like, yo, guys, we can do Terrorize Arena. And they didn't fucking know. Nobody's doing shit. This guy doesn't play Willow. He's just picking Willow because it's meta.
Yeah, it's not intuitive to like do these combos. Or it is once you think about it. And we've discussed this on the podcast before, and I'm going to say it again because it's just such a good idea. But when you think about it in advance, it just makes everything so much easier.
So does a bunch
and
of
the
simple
pros
things.
think about things in advance, and the good players think about things in advance, and that's how you make the good things happen. You
And
think when you're Dark
Hero
Willow,
Mastery.
I want to use Terrorize with Arena, and then the enemies just get fucked.
That's the thing about Hero Mastery. Another example that I interact with a lot is I play Ember. And I often pick Ember because of this. And my supports pick damage that needs setup. So they pick Hoodwink, or another one that's literally a classic because everyone picks this fucking hero is Pudge. I have Pudge on my team. I pick Ember. I go Slight Chains, Hook, right? But how many people... My Pudge isn't thinking that, first off. My Pudge ain't thinking Slight Chains, Hook until I fucking...
Your Pudge is eating
My
blue.
Pudge is literally munching on crayons in the triangle until I tell him, like, Slight Chains, Hook on the rune. And then, like, we kill the enemy mid and it's fucking free win. But this is the thing about Hero Mastery, right? Like, I know that because I've played fucking 300 Ember games, and I've had Ember games where I don't think of that, and then we do air the whole game, and my Pudge has no impact. So, yeah, Hero Mastery is super important. This is a straightforward formula, just to, like, wrap up the formula bit, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think giving examples is good and insightful.
Yeah. But, okay, this one's... Or actually, really quick on the other ones, like, you can see how this hones your gameplay, because... For example, if I'm Skywrath Mage, this is another example I use a lot with Ember. I love Ember's Skywrath Mage because Slight Chains, Skywrath presses every single button on the guy, Mystic Flare, dude's one shot, right? So if I'm Skywrath Mage and I'm thinking of this formula, I want to play with Slight Chains when I hit 6. Before 6, I'm not going to like fucking walk mid and like do air. I'm going to get 6, and that's like, okay, I got 6, and I smoke to Ember. Ember Slight Chains the guy, I kill him. So it honed my whole idea. Before 6, I'm like, I need to get 6 to play for this. I get 6, I'm like, let me play with the Ember to kill the guy.
Yeah. And a lot of the times before your 6, you're just like trying to accelerate your 6 timing in ways. Yeah,
I know that's what I
synergize
synergize for.
This also relates to like spamming the same like pool of heroes or mastering heroes, because when you raw dog a hero, and by that, if you don't know, I just mean like playing it after, if you've never played it or if you haven't played it in months, you're too focused on things like your skill build and your item build and things that should be like second nature to you on heroes, and they would be second nature if you're spamming the hero. So you just don't have the brain space to think about this like formula, which is what makes you like a high MMR player, is thinking about like this macro stuff.
Yeah. Also on that, another thing that defines raw dogging a hero to me is that you're just like, damn, bro, I'm looking at the stocks, or maybe you're not, but like, I want to play fucking.
Just to
SF
clarify,
this
by the
patch.
stocks, we mean Dota 2 Pro Tracker win rates.
Oh yeah.
Those are the stocks.
Dota 2 Pro Tracker is the Dota stocks, by the way. I
Yes.
check that shit every morning when I wake up. It's the first thing I do. Cup of coffee in the stocks.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. It's the ritual. But so like another definition for me of raw dogging a hero is you just like see some shit and you're like, I want to learn SF this patch, and you don't like look at a replay, you don't look at Pro Tracker. You're just like, I want to play SF. Queue it up. I'm SF. What do I start? Wraithband?
So
and you go
bad.
mid, and it's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing, man?
I love the example you use because that's so true. I would definitely think that if I haven't played SF for
Like,
like
what?
a
Like,
really
what do I
long
start?
years.
Wraithband? And it's like, you don't
Wraithband
have fucking-
Tangos? Like, no, bro.
Like, and then you like have bottle at 7 minutes. It's like, no, you go to Pro Tracker, watch a replay, get some ideas, because like maybe you watch a replay and learn about the Willow fucking Bedlam bullshit. When I want to learn a hero, usually I have at least a formative, like small idea about the formula for the hero or brief ideas. Like I saw something in a game, I'm like, oh shit, that's sick. Like I want to play Tinker this patch, and people don't like that. Just as an aside, every time I play Tinker, like my entire team has AIDS, and they just like talk about how Tinker ruined the game. And I'm like, dude, I'm like doing well. I'll say it. Like my Tinker kind of cooks. But anyways, so I have like a formative idea on like what Tinker provides. Because if I just like raw dog a Tinker game, you're gonna do nothing. Like what does Tinker do? He TP's in defensively, because what people try to do is they TP in offensively, and like that's old Tinker where you like TP in with like laser rocket. It's like bing bing pow, I one shot somebody. Tinker doesn't fucking do that shit anymore. I got max March level 7. I'm piss useless. So what do? I TP in to defend my teammates and defend buildings, and like spam some March and put some shields on the boys and like dip out.
And if you're not doing that, you're fucking farming. Exactly.
Like I'm farming like ancient stacks or like double camps, and like I defend my buildings and help my boys out, but I don't like gank enemies. So that's what I would do, thinking, or like I would think of these things before I play some Tinker. But some people would like go 0-13 on Tinker 10 games in a row before they realize these things. And how did I learn it? I watched Quake for Tinker like 10 games in a row.
It's so disgusting that it literally takes some people like 10 games, like 10 hours worth of their time to like think of these high MMR ideas that they could have come up with, and not come up with it. They could have like seen and absorbed in just like 30 minutes of time. Just watching. Yeah. It can be replays. It can be like YouTube guides. BSJ has really good YouTube guides on a lot of carry heroes that I watched before I learned them, and they're super in depth. And he goes over this formula idea really well with like particular heroes. They're so good. You should check them out. I just made a TA video that's basically like the TA formula, and super.
I like the because the BSJ video that I assume, because you watched the TA one recently, and what I like is that, as you said, it's not super specific. He talks about the formula. He talks about how like TA is this hero that has traps, and what does that mean for the hero? It can control areas, defend those areas, like entrench itself, right? It's a very self-sufficient hero. So I like that he talks about those general ideas, because that drives your gameplay, as we talked about with the formulas. It's not just like, it's so much physical damage and you just one shot. Like it's not like
if you want that to be your formula, pick PA. It's the same.
That's true.
A lot of people's mistake with TA is they don't like utilize her traps, and they don't do her formula, which is what you said. Like she farms aggressive areas and protects them with traps. And so if you're just gonna farm passively and not like stay in your safe lane and not invade the enemy jungle, if you're not playing to your formula, you should just like be on another hero. Or I had a friend a while ago, he wasn't like he didn't play a lot of Dota, but he is like
I thought you were gonna be like, he wasn't a real friend, but okay. Dickhead.
No, he played a lot of Super Smash Brothers Melee, which is like a really sweaty game. So he's like kind of a talented gamer, and he played Dota with us for a few months, and he raw dogged TA one game. He had never played TA, and he picked it, and it was just a terrible time, and I was a little bit disturbed.
I remember that game.
Oh, you remember? Yeah. No, I was like
TA's good
upset at him,
too.
But I feel like if you're like queuing with me, not that you're like wasting my time, but I feel like you should do your due diligence to just like research, because he like knew nothing. You know, he's like asking me like, what should my skill build be? He's like, I'm pretty sure like reading his abilities on the spot, right? It's just like not like, you need to do your due diligence, man.
Yeah, it's also tough because like he didn't play a lot of Dota, so it was kind of our bad for queuing with him, to be honest.
That's true.
I would love to queue with him, but like maybe, I mean, I was gonna say on a Smurf, but that died or something. I don't know. Or
don't say that.
YouTube's gonna hate you. Yeah, literally. Yeah, the people are gonna be up in arms about that. Back when Smurfing existed, surely no one Smurfs now.
Smurfs seem chill now. I think what they did is they just did a huge wave, and now they're not doing any waves.
Yeah,
so
I don't think
you guys
they
want
give
to
a shit
Smurf
anymore.
Go for it, boys.
I
Don't be
don't.
me, though.
I personally don't mind when there are Smurfs in my game, but I know that's
Yeah, same. It's just
not
it's
a
a skill
popular
issue.
opinion.
It
Dude
comes
beat
down to
you.
a
Like
skill
it's all
issue.
good. It's just the people who get frustrated at that. I think are like people who are like casual players in like Legend, and they just like come
Yeah,
from
I
work
mean,
at a pub, and it's like some immortal guy smurfing like a weirdo. I get
yeah,
that, but like
I definitely understand their perspective if they're just like trying to have a fair game. I think it's worse when you're like lower. Like when we're playing an immortal and there's a Smurf, his main account is probably like a few hundred MMR higher than his Smurf
even if
account.
it's like a couple thousand MMR higher, like let's say it's like some guy smurfing from like 9K or some shit, which would be like, I mean, like if there's a guy smurfing from like 9K to K, it's like cool beans because I want to be better than that guy anyway.
Yeah,
So like
no,
put him in my
exactly.
fucking game.
It's a good learning
Like, let's go.
experience, honestly,
let's
when
go.
you,
I stomp
especially
you,
when you
dude.
lane against them.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if your plan is to like get good, if you don't have a cap for yourself, then you should be.
You can't be
aiming to
afraid of the game.
Better than that person as well. Yeah, you can't be afraid of them just because they're playing well.
Yeah, to be afraid of having to play against them is to be afraid of the game, to be afraid of improvement. This is slightly related to working out because I saw this on like some working out TikTok,
Nice.
but it relates to Dota, sort of. I mean, okay, what it was you need the bad workouts where like you're low energy but you still showed up, etc., and like you didn't work out the hardest or you just didn't have a good time, you didn't feel good. You need those workouts to get the good ones, and you also need that to improve. Same way in Dota, you need the bad games to get to the good games. You need the bad games to get better. So like get stomped by the fucking Smurf, bro. It's chill. But like to be afraid of that, like, oh, I don't even want to go work out. I don't even want to play. There's a Smurf. I don't want to go work out because I'm kind of tired. You're a fucking pussy. All good. But like, dude, suck it up, man. If you want to get
got
better,
extremely
right?
based. No, it's true.
Yeah. If you don't want to get better, it's like, all right, like abandon the Smurf game. Oh, why is he smurfing?
Yeah.
I don't run into Smurfs that often anymore. But
Yeah, I don't either. And if you don't want to improve, I don't know if ranked is necessarily for you. I mean, maybe that's like, because I think there's an argument to be made where like ranked is the most balanced Dota experience because everybody in the lobby, if you're solo queuing, is like your skill. And I agree. Sometimes unranked games are just like super unbalanced and it just like doesn't feel.
I think you can queue ranked
like
if you don't want to improve.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but that wasn't my point. Being afraid of Smurfs also relates to being really attached to your MMR, because if you're like super devastated that you get a Smurf in one game, I mean, I get it. If it's like a Smurf every game and you're like, if there's a Smurf like 20 games in a row and you're not gaining MMR, then I kind of get it. But if there's a Smurf like even like 2 or 3 out of every 10 games, you're just too focused on the MMR because, like we said, it's a great opportunity to improve when you get against a Smurf, because usually, or this is what they do, they'll take advantage of your mistakes and you'll make a mistake and then they'll like get a rampage or something because you took a bad fight. And it's much healthier and better for your MMR long term if you're focused on improving and not like the short term MMR.
This is a good mentality to have, even if it's not true, but I think it's true, is that usually people who Smurfs are like kind of bottom of the barrel of where they're Smurfing from. Like they're Smurfing for a reason. Either a lot of people Smurf because they like try new heroes or try troll shit, or like they're just fucking griefing. Like they're playing their Storm offlane or some bullshit, right? So that's like some Smurfs. And then the other Smurfs are just like subhuman bastards who like flame their team and they're like, oh, I don't even want to play an Immortal anymore. I'm going to go stomp Herald or some like terrible, like those people are so bad, right? So you don't need to be in, like, these guys are not that good, I'll say.
Yeah, or they're boosting. Those are probably the most threatening Smurfs.
Does that ever happen? Like, I don't even
think
see
so.
this shit.
No, there are hella boosting services. Dude.
Yeah, no, there is.
No, one of my friends.
I never run into these people. I swear, I literally never run into Smurfs or boosters or anything like this, like ever. So,
yeah, I think people blow it out of proportion. The people that are like, it's every game. I was about to get political, but I'm not gonna do that. I was about to make kind of a political reference.
That's ominous.
No, I mean, it wasn't bad, but
Good lord.
I think it's relevant. Okay, actually, no, this is not political. It's like when the news blows something up. Like, the example I use is like, it's like a shark attack at the beach.
The shark attack?
No. If there's like a shark attack at the beach and the news like promoted it to the entire US, everybody would be scared of shark attacks. But in reality, the chance of like getting bitten by a shark at the beach is lower than like dying in your car. It's similar to that. I'm not saying that getting a Smurf in your game is like a super, super low chance like getting bitten by a shark at the beach. But I think that people generally like overblow the problem. Like they experience it a few times or like once. And then they get really loud about it and they're like, they kind of tweak.
There's also a chance the Smurf's going to be on your team.
Yeah.
And also, it doesn't fucking matter. That guy sucks. He's Smurfing, bro, for a reason, because he sucks.
Yeah. But
So,
there are a lot of boosting services, I think. Like,
I guess.
this is a funny story. One of my friends, he was Crusader. I want to like call him out because this is like kind of scummy behavior, and he might like keep watching this.
Rip
I don't know.
Rip the story.
No,
Yeah,
it's fucking funny. So he was Crusader like a year ago. Okay, maybe a little bit longer, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. He was Crusader. Okay, and he hit Immortal a few days ago, and he like requested to join my party.
Yeah,
but I like this guy, which is like I don't just want to talk shit because he like. When he was Crusader, he'd like ask me questions. I don't even remember how he got on my friends list, but he would like ask me questions and like genuinely try to improve. And he just hit Immortal, and I was like, "Yo, like, congrats, dude!" And he joined my party. The first thing he said was, and I hadn't talked to him in a while, was, "Is this Turbo?" Question mark. Like right after he hit Immortal, which is like a little bit weird, but I'm not gonna comment on that.
Boy.
But anyway, like I congratulated him on hitting Immortal, but I looked at all of his games, and in every single one of his ranked games, he's on like a 10-win streak. He's party queued with this like Archon, so he's like Immortal MMR. He's partied with this Archon who's like 25-1 on like Keeper of the Light mid, or like Visage mid, or like the most like Smurf heroes. And so I just confronted him about it.
That guy's a pretty good Archon.
It's like in every game, and he obviously like that Archon account has like low wins. And so I just like confronted him about it on the spot. Like I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I'm like, "Yo, are you boosted? Like why is there an Archon 25-1 in all your games?" And he hits me with the craziest answer ever. He says, "That's my brother's account, and I play on that account." So he plays on the Archon account.
So he's going 25-1. He's the coddle. He's the
and his brother supports him on his account. Which even if that were true, that would also be like
sense,
boosting technically. But it's just so weird. I mean, he's definitely boosted. But I like how he like panicked and like definitely capped about it on the spot. It's funny.
To be capped. Because I just don't like. Why would they switch accounts? Why does that make any fucking sense?
Does it make sense?
No.
Yeah, no, it doesn't because it's the same MMR average game, right?
It doesn't do anything. Yeah, like what is that?
Is there some balancing tactic where like if you're high MMR? Because also what I thought it was that I thought his Archon friend like might have been. Actually, I never thought his Archon friend was legit for a second. But let's say if I was queuing with an Archon friend, then the average somebody on my friends list actually does this. He's Divine and he queues with like Archon and Legends, and they're legit Archon and Legends. But the game MMR average is a lot lower, so the Divine feels like a god in the game because like the MMR average is low. So that I thought this guy was like abusing that.
Well, he probably is.
Well,
because his boy is probably smurfing, and the average is lower.
Yeah, no, exactly. Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's both.
It's the double abuse.
It's both. But I'm pretty sure it's just like it's mostly just like the boost. Like this coddle is just like going fucking 30-1. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you don't see that much. Actually, maybe you do in party queue. I don't play party queue rank that much these days.
I think people like get boosted to Immortal a lot, so I don't think we see it because we're in Immortal. I assume, right? Because like, even though it's an like. Immortal unranked, guys, by the way, I mean, maybe it's not that high. Immortal goes from like 5k MMR to 13k, right? So there's more in Immortal than every other rank in the video game. So like the difference between me and a Herald is less than the difference between me and Quinn Callahan right now. Like that's how fucking dog shit I am or something.
I will say percentile wise, the ranks make sense. Like I think Immortal is like top.
Immortal's 1%. Like top 1%er.
But the skill range in Immortal is like so ridiculously high.
Dota's a complex and deep
game. I think there should be a rank in between Divine and Immortal, like from 6k to like 6.5k, and like Immortal should start at 6.5k. That would just make sense.
They could add like a lot more, to be honest. But I guess
no, I don't think
the percentages.
Just because the percentages, they should.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Immortal players. Yeah, that's true.
That'd be cool.
Anyways, boosting.
I don't want to talk about that for like super long. It's just like kind of interesting.
I'm off it.
Yeah,
I don't experience it.
You're kind of a freak.
Yeah.
I mean,
The main point was don't be intimidated by them. I think.
Yeah, don't be intimidated by them.
It's an opportunity to learn.
I think most people like get boosted or like, I guess not really smurfing, but they just care about their MMR way too much. And you should really focus on improving. And I have a lot of videos about this, and I struggle with this, but it's hard not to like care a lot about your MMR. Like it's easy for me to just tell you. It's kind of like a therapist telling an anxiety patient to like relax, you know. It's like similar. Like you can say it.
Do they do that? Like, holy fuck.
No, they don't. That's like terrible advice. Well, that's like the textbook worst advice. If you like, someone's like having a panic attack, you're like relax. It's like the worst thing. It's like the worst thing you can say.
I'm gonna refund my fucking credit card after they say that shit. Like, give me my fucking money back.
Lol.
Just relax. I'm like, all right, cool.
That's like my teammate telling me to just push high ground.
See you next week. Yeah,
Terrible advice. Dude, people bait you to push high ground so much. I think we
How
talked
many
about
times
this
are we
like
gonna talk about
episode.
this
No, we
shit?
talked about this like episode 1.
Every episode.
But it's so relevant. It's so. Do we
Dude.
talk about it every episode? I don't think so.
Okay. Another thing is that actually on the other side, I get this though, is that we've had a lot of games where we're like fucking giga stomping and it's like 5 kills to like 20 or 25 and we'll like take 2 racks and let's say we take 2 racks and the other lane has a tier 2 so we can't take megas and the enemy team, like, we'll go back and like wait for Roche and then do the last lane. And every single time we do that, which is like a nice disciplined play, the enemy team like gets in all chat and start crying like just end, like, just end. Like, oh my god, these guys, like, it's your first win ever. And then you go to try to push their high ground. And then you go to tier 4s and they press like every button and you're getting like fucking AIDS in their base and like RP'd and shit. It's like, dude, you just can't. And like, I understand it's like this game is over and like half your team's AFK in Fountain. And like
it's
we're up like 20 kills. It's not clean Dota. And also like even if with half your team AFK in Fountain and you're down 10k gold, like low key you're smoking me because you're fucking like boys who are defending have infinite resources playing in the Fountain. Like it's just not easy.
Yeah, and
man.
infinite vision if you're in their base.
It's just not
like,
easy.
We've
talked about this a million times.
You
but
need
like
to stay disciplined and play clean Dota and don't listen to the haters. And a lot of the times they're like taunting you. Like they're just saying that so you might throw.
But I mean, I think people legitimately think that.
Some people
where they
do.
Like, yeah, okay. I mean, this is.
I think that makes them bad.
This is an interesting. Yeah, this is an
no.
interesting.
Shout them out. Shout them out.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about. We played against some guy and we like giga stomped the game. I'm like playing Pango and this was like diffusal Pango, so it's like I ran over the game a bit, and we took 2 lanes of racks, or we took like mid lane of racks, and they were like saying end. And then every time I went high ground, it's like Jakiro and shit, and I'm in macro pyre, like just getting fucking blasted. So I'm like, this is just not happening, right? Like I ain't taking high ground. Go Roche, go sit. And this guy who I like pseudo knew, I played a couple pubs with him and against him, goes like, because we're not coming to end, and he's like, I lost all respect for you. Just end already, like, et cetera, et cetera. And then I go high ground and get fucked, and it's like, dude, you are just so brain dead.
The same guy
in
a game with us like a week earlier, by the way, we were in our party. He completely threw the game in the enemy fountain.
He was
times.
He was 1-7 on Drow. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm like 10-0 off of mid. He takes the Aegis and goes straight into the enemy fountain, dies twice, and we lose with megas in 80 minutes. And this was like 30 minutes when
and
we were
it's
taking
the same guy like flaming us for not.
And then this guy is like telling me he lost all respect for me as a human because I didn't
freak
push
behavior.
high ground.
And the
like,
secret is he's just bad. He just doesn't understand that we like can't end. You know,
yeah, we just can't.
I don't know.
Like it's just so hard.
Dota's fucking hard. If you want like quick like games like that where you just end, like go play League.
It's time for some
Dota's not
Fortnite,
for you.
Bro.
One of my favorite lines these days is Dota's not for you. It's like super toxic, and I think it might be like over the line. But yeah,
it's kind of true.
I don't know if it's true. My legitimate view, like no bits, is that people can enjoy Dota however they want, and if you enjoy it, like diving fountain and like flaming, and,
you're
like,
asking for
saying
trouble.
you lose
doing
respect
that,
to the enemy team for like not ending, then you go do that. But
not even that guy, but we had another guy in one of our pubs. Not to like talk about weird pub teammates.
Yeah, let's gossip.
Like,
let's
life.
Gossip.
Yeah, no, that's just life. But they're all weird. Like 80% of these bastards.
That's tough, and that's like one of the reasons, just to like get a little bit macro right now, why we wanted to make this podcast is like to connect with some other humans in the Dota community, because everyone's such a fucking bot animal, and I hate playing. And all right, that sounded a little bit okay. My point, my point is that there are humans out there, and we want to find them and like create a community of them. Because a lot of times Dota can be very isolating, because a lot of the people who play Dota like never touch grass and are like kind of subhuman and like really toxic.
Yeah, I also think that like I don't fucking remember. But another thing is, I think a lot of people are human. It's just that it's so easy to sacrifice it because there isn't stuff like this where people are like connecting and making community. So they're just like say the shit like it's just some guy on a screen. You know, I'm not like Pine. I'm like Ember, and he's like, I lost all respect for you as a human, dog human. And it's like, okay. But like, if I explained that I couldn't go high ground to this guy like face to face, he'd be like, "Yeah, that's fucking true. That's pretty true. Like, you're in the macro pyre, you can't do that shit." But instead, it's like I'm just Ember Spirit, and he's like, "Ember, I hope like your family goes sky." It's like, okay, dude. Like, thanks, dickhead. It's like Jesus.
I also think in general the Dota community is super egoed up and not open-minded to other opinions. Like when I connect with other like immortal players and we party queue together, a lot of the time I can tell when if I'm trying to explain something like different. Because for example, I think in Immortal, it's the status quo to like throw high ground. Like it's very rare that you get like people who are disciplined and actually like make the right play. It's just like what people do. So when I get in games with people and I like express that I like want to wait for Roche and that I'm not just gonna like barrel down the high ground 5v5 even though we're like slightly ahead, they get upset. And I can tell when I'm trying to explain myself that they're not listening to the substance of what I'm saying, and they're like dismissing it before I say it. Because like an ego has gotten in the way and they made a judgment. They're not actually like talking about the Dota. You know, it's more about like being right.
And I'm sure they're reasonable humans, but it's just because the ego, and also like it's the subhuman factor. Like they're not actually engaging with you as a human. You're just like guy in their game that's like making me so bored. I'm so bored, bro. Go high ground. Like they don't look at you as a human, which is whatever. It's chill, I suppose.
I think that's a problem with the internet in general. Yeah, is like people not viewing each other like people.
This relates to the Grubby, which we talked about last episode, but I really like what he had to say about the Dota community. Someone commented about it as well and like clarifying but this was one thing that he said, not the whole ordeal. But he said that a big problem with the Dota community is that we take this game very seriously, which is chill. But what happens is that everyone has a fear of failure, a fear of inferiority when it comes to skill, and then they project that onto other people.
Yeah.
You had a comment like this actually, which was like, it was on your TA video, and they were talking about like you're 5K and you're trying to coach people, calling people bots. Like you're a bot, you're a fucking bot.
Yeah, that was like, weird. My first hater.
Like,
shout out.
Like, cool. Like you're not claiming that you're fucking Quinn, but you're like saying like play in your traps. Like I can say like
yeah.
Right. And like that guy's just projecting his insecurity. Like you're so bad. I'm so bad. We're all so bad, dude. You can't talk about Dota. We're so bad, dude. Shut your ass up, man. Like, yeah, we're bad. It's all good. Right.
Yeah.
But everyone projects their insecurity about their low skill. And you just have to be comfortable being low skill, man. Like, as I said, you have to have the bad workouts to get the good one. You have to be bad to get good. You got to make mistakes to improve.
Yeah.
Like,
I think a lot of people
sucking. Like, it's all
a lot of people don't improve. Like the ego gets in the way of improvement, like just straight up. Because they're not open to new ideas, and like they think that what they do is correct, and it's just not. And it sounds so absurd like to talk about, but that's just how I feel like 95% of the Dota community like operates. It's so strange. I wish there were psychological studies on the Dota community, or just like MOBAs in general, because it really like does something to people, man. These like ranked MOBA environments where you like have a rank, there's a clearly defined like social hierarchy. Not social, I guess just like hierarchy.
Dota is the easiest to cope as well, or MOBAs are, because they're this team-based game. But the reason why they're the easiest to cope is if you compare it to some game like, I don't know, like Valorant or some shit, or like CS, I guess. That's more Valve. Maybe people hate Valorant or some shit. But those games, it's harder to cope because each round's independent. Yeah, there's econ and shit, but like in Dota, everything compounds over 40 minutes. So it's like, okay, some guy's 0-5, so then the enemy's 5-0, so my game became harder. So it's so easy to cope in Dota. Yeah. And just for these people in the comments who are listening to this, doesn't make it right. Stop fucking coping. Because actually in your videos, you talk about like the anti-cope stuff a lot, like coping is wrong. And then people come in the comments and cope. How can TA traps matter when my whole team bots 7-0-7? Dude, shut the fuck up. Like, it happens, man.
It's funny. So people be like coping for me as well. Like, yeah, like that game looks super hard. Or like when I'm in streamers chats, like they cope for the streamer. Dude, it's so funny.
Dude, people do that all the time. They cope for the streamer. I like tune into like a Koifa stream, and I don't know if I should call them out. I won't call them out by name, actually.
Do you know? Is it like somebody we know?
No, it was Average Jonas. Coping for Koikfa, which was really funny. But he just comes into the chat, and it was like a perfectly winnable game, and it was a tough game. Like Koikfa's team wasn't doing that much work, but then he comes in like Average Jonas comes in and copes for him, where he's like, another unwinnable game, just a complete team gap, nothing you can do. It's like, holy fuck, dude, like chill.
That's
like even if you think that, like,
it's actually the cope barrage.
Like just holy Jesus, fuck. Man. Like that's a lot to take in right now. That's a lot to take
nothing
in,
you can do.
Like because another thing is like, just me personally, maybe some people like love to see that shit. Like after they lose a game, they're like, you're right, nothing I can do. But I would see that and like be like, I would feel like worse about the video game because I don't want to see this shit. Like, because some guy's gonna be like, nothing you can do. Team's so fucking bad, and I'm gonna see that shit and be like, no, like I'm ass. But like, I hate to see that. Like, dudes, they're just coping for you. People come to the comments and they cope after you say there's no reason to cope. Like, it's, dude. I mean, it's obvious that it's all your responsibility. People just look at it too like one-to-one. They value the individual game when it's a matter of being consistent, right? Like if you're better than your MMR, if you're immortal and you're in a fucking Herald pub, you're gonna win way more than you're gonna lose. Like it's just how it works. So you could extrapolate that to any rank. If you're better, you're gonna win more than you lose.
This is a really good time to dissect like what we mean by cope, and I'm actually curious on your thoughts because we've talked about this like a lot the past like 5 years, and my view has changed. The framework that I really enjoy, and I want to talk about like if this is true, is let's say like in our like 6K game, what I like to tell myself is if Arteezy was playing carry in this game, he would win it like 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I like that framework. Do I think he would win it 100% of the time legitimately? No. I think he would win it.
He'd probably lose every
99% of the time. I think he would win 99 out of 100 like 6K games. And that's like where my mentality is. So with you in mid, do you think if Quinn was in like one of our hard games where like we get stomped, do you think he would win that game 99 out of 100 times?
Yeah. Dude, like for I don't know why, but on mid, like really high, like close to 100, because like Quinn versus 6K mid, this guy's gonna literally take you out back and shoot you dead. Like, any matchup, like he's just gonna fucking fist you, like every game. So yes, I think Quinn's gonna win the shit every single time. Like, oh, but my offlane's 0-5. Like that's like strongest offlane player in 6K is like 0-6. Okay, like
so
that's
you think it's different on mid versus carry? You think the Quinn would win more than Arteezy? Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like a lot of cope for the side laners.
No,
here.
Exactly. But I'm just saying I'm comfortable on mid.
Yeah, so you like no.
Yes, I do think that Quinn would win like 99.9% of games, and the one game he's gonna lose is like his ogre like broke all his items and bought a shadow amulet and jungled from minute 0.
Yeah,
went down
if it's
mid-lane.
legitimately
it's like okay,
4v5.
you lost. Okay, you lost.
Even in the 4v5 games, like he probably has a 50% chance of winning or something.
Yeah, like
he's
it's
just
low
gonna
key
be
kind of winnable.
So strong. So assuming that, then my framework for losing games is it's always a skill issue. Yeah, and if I think for a second, and sometimes I get so down bad that I'm like, oh, this game was like way too hard. Like even Arteezy wouldn't win it. Like I'm fucking on one. I'm going insane if I'm thinking that.
You're going insane.
And even if it is that 1 out of 100 game where like that's true, it's just not productive to think about. So therefore, I view every game as if I don't win it, that there are things I could have done better, and I think about it in the sense of like I could have won this game if I didn't make these mistakes.
Yeah, I think another really important concept that you and me have discussed a lot is the path to victory. And so what that means is like we're talking about like kind of stoic mindset. I know BSJ's talking about stoicism like a decent bit recently, but you can only control yourself. You can't control your teammates. Instead of viewing the game as like your team is 5 and what should have happened. Like another example is when you have like a bad 5 that like griefs your lane. We talked about crashing out last episode. That guy was griefing your lane. That's a given. That's the game that you were handed. Right?
I love this point of view. Yeah.
That was your fate. Is that this guy's gonna go 0-2 on his like disruptor and like do air. It's not like anything. It's not your responsibility to change what that guy's gonna do. So you're the task that you're given this game to win your MMR. If you look at it this way, in order to gain your plus 40, you have to win with whatever's happening in the game. So it's not like, oh, but Disruptor, if you did this game would be easier. That's not the task you were given. You were given the 0-5 Disruptor bot.
Can you carry it? If you try to make him do better, if you try to make him do better, he will do worse. That's another topic. Like you cannot control your teammates. They're not going to learn mid-game. You're not going to coach them, and you're going to play worse when you're coaching them. Yeah. But I love that stoic objective view. It's so good. It's like if you don't win the game where your 5 is griefing, you don't deserve to like get that MMR.
That's the game. There was no theoretical game in your head where the 5 like owned your lane. That game doesn't exist. You're making it up.
Yeah.
You're living in your head.
So all you can do is play the best you can given the circumstances you have.
Exactly. And another thing, so finishing the path to victory idea, what's really insightful and feels really good, you should take, joy in this, I suppose, if you're trying to improve, is when you have games like that, seeing the path to victory. Like maybe we lose a game and I have like 1 or 2 deaths and I see like, okay, that one death at like this play before the Roche, if I didn't do that, this shit was actually winnable. And if you start focusing on the path to victory more, you'll start seeing the path to victory in harder and harder games where it's like, holy shit, I actually could have won this if I didn't make like those 2. You'll have the specific mistakes, not just like this shit was so hard. What did we even do? It's like, here I fucked up. Those 2 plays, I lost the game. Without that, I probably would have won the game. And then you start seeing that shit every game. And it's like, holy fuck, every game is actually winnable. Like what
the way it works as well is the harder the games are, the less mistakes that you're allowed to make. Yeah. So it's really, I agree. I've had games, really high MMR average games, where I see the path to victory if I just like don't make one mistake. And that's like really inspiring.
Sometimes it's literally 1. And it's like, if you didn't make that one mistake, you probably won the game. Sometimes you have 0 deaths and you still have like one minor mistake, like you misplay a fight or you played the map wrong or some shit like that. So yeah, and seeing that path to victory is a skill that you have to hone over time. And like without it, you're just fucking flying blind. You lose the game. That's like the most disturbing thing. I think we've discussed this on a previous podcast before. You shouldn't be disturbed if you see the path to victory and it's like, holy shit, if I didn't make those 2 mistakes, we would have won. But like, it was so hard. Like, damn, you saw the path to victory. So it was attainable. You should be disturbed if you play the game and you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? We got
that was so hard. What did happen?
Everyone's just feeding. Oh shit, they can't do anything. Like then I'm disturbed because it's like there was no chance.
Yeah. By the path to victory, there's also a distinction where it's like your path to victory, right? Not like what your 5 could have done better.
Exactly. It's all you.
That's obvious. Yeah.
If you think of it, like the other 9 players are just CPUs existing in the game and you're operating through that. Like that's how I'm viewing it. They're going to do exactly what they're going to do. That's the fate you're given. The theoretical game of like, oh, but if we own lane, I'd be slightly stronger. It doesn't exist. Yeah. It doesn't exist.
I love this lens of like looking at it like that and looking at every game you lose as a skill issue. Well, for one, I think it's true, and I like try to like believe things that are true, but also it focuses you on your Dota so well if you're like if you're fully bought into this mindset. And if you're not, it's just so fucking easy to start like thinking about your team and like trying to coach them and like telling them to do better things and like imagining what it could have been if your Axe didn't have a 20-minute blink dagger or something like that. You know, it's just, it's so, when I'm in peak form, I'm like fully bought into this mindset.
I do this a lot for a lot of things, but take it to the extremes of going all one way or the other. If I never think about my teammates' impact ever, or I always think about it, what's better? Never think about my teammates' impact. So what I'm saying is, what is the point of thinking about your teammates' impact and what they should have done? It literally serves 0 purpose. All it does is harm you. And even if your teammates' impact prevented you from winning the game, and this mindset is wrong, it was more impactful towards your play and towards your improvement to just assume that every game was winnable, even if it wasn't. Because like 99% of them are going to be winnable. Maybe 1% isn't winnable. But even in that not winnable game, if you have the mindset that it was winnable, it's going to make you have better takeaways from the game in terms of improvement. You're going to perform better in the game itself. Whereas like otherwise, it's like you can rationalize anything. It's like, oh, this game was so hard. We lost in 70 minutes and it was super close. Unwinnable. It's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. It's also dangerous to be like looking for that 1% of games that's unwinnable because you can like rationalize and cope and basically say like,
so just assume it's 100. Just assume it's 100.
It's so much better for you to just
you improve that way. All these people in the comments, there's going to be comments under this fucking podcast that are still going to cope. I'm talking to you, man. Stop.
Yeah,
Stop.
Get better.
They're going to be there.
It's a skill issue, man.
They're literally going to be there. No, dude, but what happens when my Pudge missed 7 hook in lane? Then you fucking carry later, dude.
Arteezy carries later.
Yeah, like it's chill. He missed hook, man. Like, fuck you. Honestly. Like, this is like pseudo relates, but I was thinking about this about Ember. Or heroes that split the map, heroes with global presence, etc. Because we were talking about Void Spirit and Ember Spirit. Those are my 2 most played this patch. And they're both spirits, but they're actually really different. Void Spirit's like this definitive jump hero. He doesn't have global presence. He's kind of a better team fighter, kind of. And then Ember's strength is he has this like global presence. I don't know if I'd say
he's a better team fighter. Like maybe
both are pretty good. Yeah, both are pretty good. But Ember's strength is he has this global presence. He can split up the map. He can push waves a lot safer and get out a lot safer than Void Spirit. And what I was going to say about Ember is that to play heroes like Ember or global heroes or heroes that have to split the map requires so much conviction and will because people are not going to like it when you're sitting in a fucking side lane. And this happened to me recently on an Ember game. There's 5 enemies, literally all 5 hitting your tier 2 tower on vision, and they're winning the game. They're up like 5k gold at like 15 minutes. And your whole team's going to be crying, come back, Ember, fight. And then you don't come back, and then they all go feed, and all 4 of your teammates are dead, and they're all like just watching you like farm a fucking creep wave. They're going to blame
you for griefing. In their heads, you're legitimately griefing. You're like not showing up on purpose. You just have to have so much conviction because before I'd like maybe show up or I would like try to justify myself like, no, dude, like you don't understand my hero. That doesn't fucking matter, right? What do I say now? You should explain why it's not griefing.
Okay, here's why it's not griefing. Well, in this instance, they're stronger. They're showing 5 heroes. And so if you're weaker, how do you take fights? It's by having a numbers advantage. Also with global heroes, that's their strength is that they can have a numbers advantage. Because, for example, like if I'm there and then I can TP back, that's one thing. But maybe I TP'd something I do often as Ember is I'll leave a remnant like where the enemy team is grouped, and then I'll TP across the map and shove like 2 or 3 waves, and then the enemy TP's heroes to defend their tower, and then I remnant back. We fight 4v5 or 5v4, 5v3.
Which is just a great play, clean
just
Dota,
beautiful.
like
Just
bing
lovely.
bang, chef's kiss, like we did it.
We were talking about this with one of our other players that we play with a lot, but in particular with global heroes, but you can do this on everybody. It's super reliable to play to take advantage of people's TPs, because you can force people to TP by pushing waves. You can see their TP, you can check their inventory, and that's a concrete thing that you can take an advantageous fight on every single time. And let me tell you, people are going to be mad at you. But anyways, in this example, what happened was like my team was fucking crying that I didn't come back, and they're like, we gotta stop this. Nah, we don't. Like they're just fucking fisting us in our tier 3s, man. Like they're just stronger.
If you came back 2, it'd be 0 for 5 instead of 0 for 4.
I would just feed. And then what happened was I shoved like 2, 3 waves. I'm fucking cutting in between the tier 1 and the tier 2 towers with a remnant down. And then they TP like 2 heroes back to try to catch me. I remnant away, TP top, we smoke, we win the whole video game. We like kill the like 3 heroes there. Now I have, and I was farming like 17 waves, so I have like fucking radiance and shit on Ember. Like I'm fat. But the original point I was going to make is what I said in Mike, which I enjoyed. I didn't explain myself. All I said was, I will not come back until they TP to this
Yeah, that's
tower.
really good.
I
It
will
shows
not
you have
come
conviction, because when you try to reason with them, they're going to try to reason with you back.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden,
debate it.
all of a sudden, they're not playing the game. They're debating
Exactly.
you, like on the spot.
Exactly. I'm not here to discuss it. I'm
And
telling
you
what
already
I'm gonna
know
do.
you're correct. You know, like
Exactly.
there's just no
Exactly.
point.
Like, because I said like, oh, I like explained like, oh, like I'm gonna force some TPs bottom, and they're like, no, dude, please come. And I just said, this is just how it is. I will not come back until someone TPs here, no matter what. That's how it is. Suck it up. Like, if you want to play like that, I'm just telling you what's happening. And then my fucking guy who was complaining didn't say shit, and then they TP back, and I came back. Like, I'm just letting you know how it is. I ain't coming, bro. You can fucking go feed me. I ain't coming.
And this,
no matter
I really
what.
like that you chose to talk about this now near the end of the episode, because that's like Ember's formula, right? That's what he wants to do. That's part of his formula, is splitting the map and taking advantageous fights, because he's a global hero. And I think you were going to make this point, because you were telling me your Void Spirit win rate is a lot higher in the last year. It's like really good compared to Ember Spirit.
I have like
I don't
Ember games, but
yeah. Oh, okay, I see. So there's more Ember data, but you also have a lot of Void Spirit games.
I have like.
But I don't think your Void Spirit is like better than your Ember Spirit.
I think my Ember's a lot better than
in
my
a
Void.
vacuum. Yeah, your Ember seems more refined. But Void Spirit's formula, and you can talk about this better than me because you play Void Spirit, but it's a lot less nuanced than Ember. You don't have to play the map and push the waves and split the heroes and TP back, and your team doesn't have to like morph to that. On Void Spirit, like you get the Ags and you kill the guy who you silence, right? And you put your supports in the smoke with you.
It's like Void Spirit is like such more straightforward front-loaded power. It's like devastating timings, really powerful spells. And another thing about that is I think people find it easier to play with heroes like Void Spirit compared to Ember Spirit, because Ember, I'm like, guys, I'm pushing 5 waves bottom, and then we go top.
And they're like, he's griefing.
Tweaking. No, everyone starts tweaking. Meanwhile, Void Spirit, like my team starts arguing, and I'm like, almost got Ags, kill this fucking.
Yeah,
like it's
smoke
like,
me. They're like, fuck yeah, let's
smoke
go.
me. It puts me in the smoke. I fucking one shot more from full HP. It's like beautiful. But meanwhile, Ember, I'm like, guys, just wait. Somebody's gonna TP back, and like everyone just like loses their fucking minds. So. But that's what I'm saying, is that I think my Ember is better. It's just that, and I've been doing a good job of this, you just have to have unbreakable will when you play heroes like that, in general in Dota, but those heroes really teach you it, because everyone's going to tweak on you for playing the hero properly. They're just going to be so pissed.
I also think heroes with more direct, less nuanced formulas, like this is a great example of Ember versus Void Spirit, are going to do better in pubs. At least like non-pro level pubs. I think in pro level pubs, people will like play to the Ember, because like they understand, like that's what makes a high MMR player. They understand the formulas of all the heroes on your team and all the formulas on the enemy team, and they're playing based off of that.
Whenever I have these global pickoff lineups, I swear, I had a game like this last night actually, where we had Spectre, Carry, and Axe. And Axe is not like global, but he's a pickoff hero, right? He also teamfights decently, but
Axe is kind of like a Mario hero. He kind of does it all.
Yeah. I think in the mid game he wants to pick off until he gets BKB, then he can team fight, right? But without BKB, he like gets fucked. But we're playing this like Giga pick-off lineup, and the enemy team's playing like 5 team fighters. It's like fucking like RP, like arena, like all this bullshit. And what do you know? I have Spectre. This is what I was talking about as well. And like my Spectre like comes to mid lane and gets put in like 13 circles and just gets like completely fucked by everybody. And we like lose a 5v5 and go 0-5. And then we did that for like 10 minutes or like 15 minutes. I was Invoker. And then I said, so it's like the Invoker, Sunstrike, Axe Call, like literally the fucking pick off like Wet Dream. Okay, like we Axe Call somebody, Sunstrike, fucking Shadow Step. Like that's our formula.
No, that's pretty
and then
good.
nobody talked about that shit. And then after like we feed on mid tower like 4 times in a row, I get in the mic and I'm like, this is how our lineup works. What the fuck are we doing, guys? Like, play for that shit. And then we just played for that shit and we won the game. But in general, in pubs, I really prefer playing the Teamfight lineup because sometimes I play with Ancient Apparition, fucking 5, and Prophet 4, and they're all just like sitting in the fucking jungle waiting for someone else to do something so they can use their global spells, and no one does anything.
What it is
so it's
is
just
the
fucking trash.
The Teamfight formula is like people's default. That's how they play Dota, and they don't think about it in any other way if there are like different heroes in the game. So why are people picking global heroes if they're not gonna like play them globally? And even like people who play this is like the worst. Is like people play Ember and like they don't split the map. It's like you're literally just fucking worthless. You're like not okay. You're not actually worthless, but you're he's not bad, but you're not taking full advantage of the hero. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my point.
I don't like it when like you have Prophet
You should just be on Void
jungles.
Spirit if you're not going to split the map. Yeah, Prophet support who like doesn't split push. That's another
exactly.
example.
Like I need you to like push a wave out as Prophet and then TP to the other side of the map after they defend from you like in the Ironwood tree and hitting the tower, and then you TP across the map and like we win. But instead the Prophet hits like the fucking hard camp in the side jungle as far back as possible and pings his TP. You're literally doing air, man. Like
or like a TA who just AFKs at Ancients. Like just play
team fighters are way more
TA.
straightforward. Way more straightforward.
Yeah.
I really hate when people pick because also those global heroes, they're really powerful too. And I've definitely experienced getting annoyed at them. Like when people pick like Clinks or some shit and they just like split the map and like shove waves permanently and never team fight you. But it's just more nuanced and you have to play the map to get advantages. And it's so much easier to just have a stronger lineup and like go as 5. Like people are way much better than that.
5.
Yeah.
No,
because what makes that good is the other team just fights you. That's
I was going to say the exact same thing. They'll just run into you. They'll just confront you. It's because that's their default formula as well. They got to just go fight them. Like
that's literally what happens.
We'll be on the most giga team fight comp ever. They'll just run into you.
Like that is such a fucking classic, dude. It's such a nightmare when that happens too. It's like 5 enemy heroes showing on a ward, and then you see your boys like walking towards them. Like Jesus, dude.
Yeah, they're not using their brains. That's the case. Like if
what are we doing?
Yeah,
that shit's a plague. That shit's literally a plague. Anyways, that was I think I had. Let's see. But yeah, no, the Ember Void is a great example of that for me. Oh, this is one that you want to talk about that sort of relates to Ember Void, which is mid laners, as in mid laners getting focused.
Oh my god!
Right? Like,
so for some context, I'm a carry player. I've like carried diehard, not like diehard. I played mid when I was in like middle school, so I played a lot of
propaganda podcast.
But I've started playing mid recently, and I've really been empathizing with Pine a lot more because he'll like get into the mic and he'll like say things that it's really easy to just. It's really he'll crash out and he'll say things that are really easy to dismiss his cope, which it like kind of is. But it's not at the same time when you say like they're all focusing me and like it's not fun when like you play mid and they're like 2 enemy supports at the runes. And I've been playing a lot of SF mid recently because I think SF's super fun.
People like to focus on SF too.
I played this game and this game, I mean, it wasn't fun for a lot of reasons. We had this like 5 ranged like squishy comp, which was just terrible against Void Spirit, Ember Spirit. But anyway,
the cores were Lina, SF, Witch Doctor. That's
Lina, SF, Witch Doctor, and supports are like Veno, Hoodwink. Yeah. It's like literal nightmare. And we're against Void Spirit, like Earth Spirit, by the way. Actual nightmare. But anyway, I actually typed. This was a norm, so it was like chill. But I typed in all chat in this game at a certain point, like mid isn't fun. Because it was one of those games where my supports weren't helping me with the runes, and I have this rank 600 Earth Spirit like on my nuts every single power rune, and the enemy mid is like a Void Spirit, and I'm SF. Like I basically just can't play the game, so he's getting every rune
under the tower and get fisted like immediately.
Yeah, this is after I crushed him in lane 2. And it's just like I don't want to say like complete team gap because it's not. I'm sure like, I mean, I'm not a mid player diehard, but I'm sure if Quinn was on SF, he would have won that game. But I just remember a specific moment, and they had Mars 3, okay, which is even nightmare into our draft, but I'm not here to talk about the game. They had Mars 3, and so there was a play where I'm literally at my tower. This is, I'm pretty sure, like the 8-minute power rune. And the Mars,
like the first night. Yeah,
the Mars wraps behind my tower with his fresh level 6 Arena. And I get Arena rolled on by Earth Spirit, fucking jumped on by Void Spirit. And I don't want to play mid anymore after that experience.
And then you look around, and it's like your boy, like your fucking support is like hitting a neutral camp. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Another
mid is
thing.
tough. I also
Yeah.
think that this is what I think you were gonna say,
Yeah.
but a lot of people will like focus the mid laner in the team fights. I think because
Yeah.
mid laners are like very loud in Dota, and I mean a couple things by this. Like I think people like focus on mid. People, it might come from the fact that people are kind of like afraid of the mid because people think they might think they're like the best player in the
We've
lobby or
discussed
something.
this before as well.
Yeah, and if
People
you
glaze mid laners or like they're intimidated by the mid lane role. Like I would never play mid.
yeah, like
Mid laners
it's
are
so
goats.
hard.
Not to
Which
like
I
I'm not
don't
glazing myself by the way.
I don't think
like,
that's
it
true
sounds weird.
necessarily.
Yeah, it's not. Mid
But-
lane's like a chill role. It's pretty chill.
And so people like I got it, for example, that game, like I got a solo kill on the enemy Void Spirit. And so I'm like ahead, I'm like voice lining, like outplayed, like beautiful soul for my collection in all chat. And so
Yeah.
I can't help but think the enemies see that and they like think that they don't want this Shadow Fiend to like snowball out of control, so they just like bring the fucking cavalry.
Yeah, and you know, like this
to
guy,
mid.
like in those games where you're doing well as mid, I agree. Like part of it is like mid laners, both the personality of mid players and also the heroes and the way it operates in the game is very loud because it's like obviously, like mid laners are like just like kind of egoed up.
You're in a lot of kills too.
Yeah,
That's another
exactly.
thing.
And that's the thing is like mid laners are just in a lot of kills. So it's like the 8 night and you see like dominating and then it's like laughing and like fucking good game, well played and all this shit. And this guy's like in your base, like killing your supports. And then this happens so often because like I play against people I know and stuff like that. And in the comms, when the enemy mid is dominating, literally in the comms they're like, go Void Spirit, go Invoker, Invoker,
yeah,
Invoker,
we need to
Invoker,
kill.
Invoker.
We need to kill Invoker. We need to get
Invoker,
Invoker.
Invoker.
Use
And
dump
you're-
everything on Invoker.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, I'm like chilling here as Invoker with no BKB, and I get like Arena Spear grip fucking Night Stalker ultied on, and it's like I just get like completely giga fucked.
And I'm not just coping out my ass because when I'm carry, like I feel now that I've played a lot of mid,
They don't focus you, bro. I
I
need to say
feel
it,
them
man.
like
I'm
not
getting
focusing
fucked.
me as carry, and I
Yes.
just get like free games a lot of the time.
Yes.
which is
That
fine.
hap-
Like I'll take that.
Jesus Christ.
And
dude.
it's not like it's in every game. It's just like it's just a thing that people
It's
do.
part of being
I
the
think.
mid laner
It's
though. It's chill. You just have to play the limit and learn to like be more survivable. Like in the example where like you get wrapped on by the Mars Arena and the Earth Spirit, it's like in theory, it's like you should have known Mars was coming, and then you
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
went
I
back
should have
to
known
your
he was
tier
missing,
2 and
yeah.
hid. Like literally just sat under your tier 2 and like hid till that fucker showed. Like that's a proper play. So it's not cope like, oh, they focus the mid lane, it's unplayable. But I do think there is an element of mid laners and mid heroes getting focused more because they're just large personalities in the game, and people like love to kill. Because what happens as well, like another hero that I play a lot that gets focused a lot is Invoker. Everybody focuses Invoker, which is good.
It's also
right?
good to focus Invoker.
Yes.
And
yes,
I also
it
think
is.
there's an element where like carries are more raid bossy and it's harder to kill them. So I do think in a
Yeah.
lot, like in the Invoker example, I think focusing Invoker is really good.
No, it's really good. So it's not. I'm not saying
Yeah, it's not
this is
bad.
wrong to focus the mid laner, but like everybody just fucking does
They
it.
just
no
be
matter
getting
what.
focused. Fair enough.
Like-
which is
like
fair
Jesus,
enough.
dude.
But I really
Yeah.
felt that after playing a lot of mid.
Yeah. I remember there was another game where I was Ember Spirit. I had a really nice idea this game. We were against Bane and then a bunch of other bullshit, but Bane was the big one. And I built Sanj and Yasha on Ember. I went like Mage Slayer, Sanj and Yasha, like Giga tanky build, like Shivas and shit. And you were playing somebody that also like got fucked by grip. You were playing a carry or something, or maybe you're a TA or something. But I remember I would like walk up the high ground and I would get like immediate like this is like we're sieging base and I don't have Aegis, and I walk up the high ground and I get like grip arena like Spirit Breaker charge, Nether Strike, like the whole shebang, and then you get like a rampage, and I'm just like fucking stunned the whole fight, and I live. And it's like, what the fuck is that, dude? Like, kill my TA.
I also think there's like an element of psychology in the carry because the carry slowly gets stronger over time.
Yeah.
Whereas the mid, like when they're getting stronger, you know they're getting stronger because they're killing your ass.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And the carry
The
is
other
like
guy's just, like,
silently
farm.
farming like maybe a kill or two and he shows up and like cleans up a fight. And they don't like think ahead and they don't know
I think that's the biggest thing.
The carry, yeah, they don't realize the carry's a threat until it's rampage.
People
Like,
are
it's too
aware
late.
when the mid's strong. Like he's like taking over the game, and everyone's like fucking like cowering in their boots, and like in the comms they're literally just like, we gotta focus this fucking guy. Like start this guy only, and like they're looking for your ass. Like it's like the scariest
Which
shit I've
again
ever
is
seen in my
probably
life.
fair. It's
good.
probably good
Yeah,
to
no, it's
like
well played.
focus the invoker.
It's just
and-
funny.
Yeah.
It's just funny. No, I feel this. I mean, here's another example because you were talking about like not getting the runes, and it's just tough because like that happens where like that happens so often where like the enemy supports a party with the mid, and it's literally 3 heroes on like my 4-minute water rune, and I don't get a water rune. It's like fucking absurd. And the secret sauce, this happens a lot to a lot of mid laners, like I'm against as well, is that their supports aren't there and they walk into the river and feed on the rune. Just give the fucking rune, man. You just gotta give the rune. like support gap. Like go fucking stack a jungle camp.
This is another idea I love in Dota, which is like you can't do too much. You have to stay within your bounds, and if you do like doing too much is a great recipe for feeding.
It's like, oh,
I don't want
they
to
have
get too
3
much
heroes
into
mid,
that,
but I want the rune, and then you're
exactly.
dead. Like, dude, in what universe are you getting the rune?
That comes
there?
from like underestimating your opponents too. You're like, oh, like I'll get it. Like they're not gonna kill me, and then you
I'm just gonna swag out and like there's 3 heroes, and I'll just like get the rune. I'll like click them, and then I'll like run away. It's like, no, dude. Like, just fucking give the rune, man.
Then I'll juke in the trees. You can think about it.
Okay,
let us know what hero that you want us to talk about next.
Oh, or
any
concept.
topic. We talked about Marci. Let us know how we did. If you want to see more Marci specific talk, more like hero specific talk, or less.
I have a lot more Marci insight, but the thing is, I didn't want to like go into it too much on this one.
Yeah.
So you should do your research yourself, guys. Like, I'm here to talk about like, oh, actually, Marci's kind of a cool hero, and like it's a good flex pick. But like all the ideas I got about Marci was like the last like 3 days I was on Pro Tracker, like looking at spammers and like thinking. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of thinking when it comes to Dota outside of playing. Like, I'll just spend time.
That's why it consumes people's lives.
Yeah, that's true. Not everyone can do that, but like, yeah, I don't know. Your subconscious works in good ways.
I think most people can do that if they're like commuting or whatever. You can think about it.